quick count here. I'm counting 1, 5, 6, 10. I'm counting 13, and a very interesting split of event cards as well, which our viewers are definitely going to enjoy seeing. But here we are. We should have them on screen now. Looks like players are now getting their mulligans ready. Let's see what we're looking at. It's always hard to see from the top down view. I can see an all-time marco. I can see an event. I have a feeling Khoi is just deciding whether he keeps. It looks like he's happy keeping, so we'll see if this pays off for him. Paul happy with what he sees as Katakuri, and I'm with you. I think that Zoro will kind of take this. I know he's not keeping. I thought he gave a thumbs up to show he was keeping. The cards I did see from Khoi I did see an alternate art Marco, and I did see a guard point. Not exactly where you want to be. Like I said, he's probably digging for those searches, just having ways to crack back when his triggers or other attackers do eventually come in.
Yeah, and that's all that he kind of needs for that early couple of turns. He doesn't really need to see the pieces in his hand in that starting 5. He just needs to find the searches that can then find the pieces later on, and give him that early kind of board state that he's able to establish well before Katakuri can. With a lot of the cards Katakuri can play to really deal any pressure of being 3 cost and 4 cost, just taking that little bit longer to kind of get set up than what Khoi's cards can. But looks like Khoi has decided to go second. So he's wanting to keep Paul off his curve, push that 10 cost Big Mum back a turn, and allow him to go first and get the search with the pudding.
Exactly. Now, I think that's the right play here. He can go either the pudding into the Pero Sparrow, and honestly, if he went second, he could still do that, but then he would have a 7k swing. Now, as Khoi, like, depending on the hand, sometimes you can aggressively combo out of that first swing, and by making him go first, that's only going to be a 5k swing, so it's only going to cost the 1 card. Now, we've got a great start here. I just missed the event card he took there, but we've gone buggy into buggy, and let's see if he can find a second one. He's checking the hand. He didn't put it to the bottom, so he's going to start off with 2 massive 1 cost. And honestly, the best 1 cost you can play in this circumstance if you want to put that pressure on Katakuri. So what a start we're off to, Ryan.
Yeah, he grabbed a guard point with the first one, and it looks like that might be a 5-fist with the second.
Yeah, wow. So setting up well. We've always got 1 target right there. Just a good little extra target for that 5-fist. I still think his turn 2 here for Zoro is going to be developing his board, trying to go maybe 4 wide, and then maybe just a cheeky little swing at leader. I definitely think it's a little too early to swing those buggies, particularly with that pudding hanging around, threatening those buggies if they were to swing in. We see a crash in for 5 here, and he opts to take it, so not comboing out there, and we see the perfect start going first for Paul with the Charlotte pudding into the Pero. So now this is going to force the Zoro player to really try to build that board up and hope we don't see too many triggers, Ryan.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't, play your game around what triggers can and can't resolve. It's just so random. Khoi just needs to kind of focus on his game plan. If the triggers come up, he has to deal with it as it happens. But for the time being, it's just about sticking to the plan. Keep establishing your board with your searches, and keep just trying to chip away at Paul's life.
Exactly. And look, the follow-up here is going to be interesting. So we've got a combo out of that for the first 5k swing from Khoi. So Paul very much aware he needs to kind of defend his life early wherever possible. Now we've got 4 Don open. Worth noting, he didn't opt to put a Don under Zoro there, perhaps make it 7 and follow up with, say, like a Dadan or something like that. So we could just be seeing, again, just more of an extension here, which is exactly what I thought we would be seeing. And we have a 3rd buggy. So the 3rd buggy is going to make things very interesting. Paul has to realize there's some very big, turns coming up, probably starting around turn 4 with some large investment in Don before he can even start trying to control that board. Now, is he... Yeah, but here's the 5-fist. There we go. So we've got an early 5-fist there. I definitely don't mind that, depending on what the next turn brings, because particularly if he was sandbanking a Gordon here, If he slams down the 5-cost Yamato there, then it would have been much better to go for the Pero and the Yamato off a neg. But either way, picking up, I believe that was a 10-cost Lin, and now Paul gets his turn, right?
Yeah. And Koi's able to sit there with his 3 buggies on board. These cards can very easily become 5k attackers. So just doing his best to control the board. He hasn't been able to push any damage through just yet. But Paul's gonna slam in with a 7k swing and be able to rearrange his life, which is 7k swing with no Don active is gonna be difficult to get out of.
100%. And noting he did move it before taking it. You're not going to combo out of a 7k here with no Don, with all your Don rested, no active Don. He slams down the Cracker and passes turn there. So again, just trying to maintain this board state. Now, this may be a little early, but he could potentially think about, depending on his hand, obviously, potentially thinking about donning these buggies up and getting into the red zone. Otherwise, I think there's also a good opportunity here on 6 Don to go either Otama into a 5-cost Marco to KO the Cracker and really assert that board dominance. And honestly, it looks like that's happening. So by not putting a Don on that, and here we go, just as I thought, the Otama into the 5-cost clears that board. Look, he's got a full board of 5, but realistically, that Otama isn't going to be doing anything and probably going to get replaced pretty quickly. And this leaves Khoi in the perfect position for a turn 4 to just suit up his buggies, get into the red zone, and Paul now has to deal with this wide board state.
Yeah, and that Marco is just going to apply so much pressure being a potential 7k attacker with combination of the leader effect that it's just going to be extremely difficult for Paul to be able to defend that because he's used a lot of cards to kind of establish his board and they've just been picked off really easily by Khoi while Khoi's board has just sat there since turn 1. We see the starter deck Charlotte get played and Khoi didn't even take a second thought on trashing that life as opposed to giving Paul another one. He knows that his key to this game is obviously pushing through all that damage, like all games, but he doesn't want to give another barrier to kind of get through. And we see the first trigger off that life, another Perispero coming down, and more 5k swings just coming in.
Exactly, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes these first couple of triggers can be backbreaking because now Khoi's got to kind of reevaluate and think if he can sustain this pressure. Now we keep seeing the 5Ks come along. We've obviously got Marco at a 7 as well, and the hand already is quite small. So I think what you'll see here, you'll definitely see that second Don go on to Zoro for a 7k swing, force the 2-card combo out. Another card, no trigger. So we started with the good trigger first, now just 2 blank triggers. But at the moment, Ryan, it looks like Paul kind of really is on the back foot. This 7-cost is going to be able to maintain some pressure, but it might just be that little, not too little too late, but maybe, I don't know, just a turn slow and that 5-fist really able to control the early stages there.
Yeah, and you get in a position now with yellow where you're getting low on life. You don't have a large amount of cards in hand. You don't want to be dedicating a full turn to establishing, like your SCR Katakuri, which just utilizes almost all of your Don and prevents you from being able to remove some of this field or deal damage. And we're still a turn off being able to play the 10 cost, but you have a similar problem there as well. Sure, you get to gain 1 life, but against a full board, it really just doesn't give you that much value to kind of defend the opposing turn.
Exactly. And we know from earlier he has at least 1 event card in here. This is going to be an easy discard for Khoi here. Just getting rid of probably a pistol, I'd say. So, yep, moves it to the drop, and he's just going to activate it straight away. And, yep, that looks like a jet pistol to me. So, brings it back, and now we're going to have to see some Don investment if he wants to really try and clear this Marco. But, look, this is going to be a controversial take.
Do you think he commits?
Commits to the... I don't know. Sitting here, I probably would have said no. I would have used the advantage of your Katakuri. All of your characters, really, none of them are slash, to my knowledge. And really try and clear out some of those buggies. But Khoi has revealed 3 event cards. Now, 2 of them were used for the 5-fist, the 5-fist itself, and another one. We knew we had the jet pistol. I think it's just... And there we go. There's a 4th event card. I have
Yeah.
I can't remember what he discarded for the 5-fist, so I think he may have known about the guard point. Now, yes, he is clearing this out, but I just can't see how Paul's going to come back into this game. Obviously, just going so hard. Yep, and there it is. There's the 5th event card. Leading with 3 buggies, I think
Yeah.
going into the Marco there was a massive mistake. Just chipping away and developing a 3rd character on your board, I think just would have been paramount here. I don't think Khoi would have invested a huge amount to save those buggies, maybe one of them, but at least then you're getting rid of those
Oh,
kind of chip attackers. Now, he has gotten rid of the Marco.
and
It
we
is worth
see
mentioning
just the
here.
Thunderbolt. Yeah. It
Yep,
cost him a
the final.
life going up against 3 buggies.
Exactly. And now
This
it's
is
like,
looking quite dire.
exactly. You've gone 3 attacks into the Marco. You finally cleared it by critting one of your life and 2 Don at such a small hand already. And look, he's just playing the numbers game. He's gotten 3 cards out of his hand. Like a Rush Zoro, I think he'll just end this. Maybe even just a 5k with the and I think that was the last life as well. So I thought his Don was a life there, but just being able to, you know, all of that commitment, that life commitment, the Don commitment, just to clear one Marco when those buggies could have easily been destroyed, and being able to develop the board there, Ryan.
Yeah, and we see the power of Zoro now that we've gotten into set 3, especially with those buggies. You know, he was
Yep,
just able to play them early on, keep them on the field. They never got removed. They never attacked. They never did anything. They replaced themselves by finding events. And then once he was in a strong enough position that he could deal, you know, a good amount of damage and get him down low, he went in. He went in with a bunch of 5k attacks, and then he used his events to keep the board clear. He didn't have to attack into anything on the field. He just popped it with his event cards, and then Marco came down and was just able to really seal the deal there.
exactly. And look, I'm not a big proponent. The players don't know each other's deck lists. We didn't really see a huge indication whether it was more destructive Zoro or more of a mid-range Zoro. But you saw him
Mm,
comboing out Sanji's. It could have maybe been worth just playing those in an earlier turn, trying to develop wide. Yes, the Marco can obviously KO one of them, but at least then you can put some pressure back on those buggies, which it just drained his hand so bad. Using the Strucin as well, discarding cards, just getting rid of the buggies. It feels so bad. But honestly, I think Paul kind of lost it there when he went for the Marco. Putting 3 attacks into it, getting those event cards which weren't going to help Khoi win the game, and then having to
mm,
crit a life as well as invest 2
yeah.
Don to get rid of it. And I think that was kind of, yeah, the Hail Mary, try for it and hopefully be able to combo out. But yeah, now we're on to game 2.
Yeah, and this is where it gets difficult. You know, Paul has to adjust. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
lost pretty convincingly in that game 1, but it's definitely not over. So now you need to adjust. You've calmed the nerves a bit more. You know, there's no question that Paul faced against Zoro yesterday. He would have come across it throughout the entire day.
Multiple.
He's played it in testing. You know, there's a reason he took this deck. Now it's about implementing the game plan and playing on your terms rather than on Koi's.
Exactly. And I think here you'll see Paul opt to go second, just to try and get, some 7k swings off, maybe slow the
Mhm.
Khoi down, sorry, with the searches. And here we go. We start with the ISO. Let's see what he grabs. Looks like a fire
Is that
fist to me.
a Fiery Doll? I think it might be yeah, possibly.
Might
It's
be a
either that or a
fiery doll.
Fiery Doll. Yeah.
Hmm. I've seen some
But
list
we've seen these
transition
kind
to
of
this, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say we've seen some of these Zoro lists transition into more of like the Whitebeard packages as opposed to what we've seen previously. We've seen some
Hmm.
of the kind of the uh, lower powered kind of Whitebeard cards come in. You have to help me out with the names here, but I know that there's one that can add a rested Don similar to like the starter deck Nami, and there's also the one that I believe it reduces something's power by 2k or KO something with a lower card with a lower power.
we've we've got a few that they're transitioning to kind of in the Zoro list. So I'm just going to try and get the name now. So we've got Haruta, which is the one that acts like the starter Nami, a 2-cost 3k that
Yep.
can put Arrested Don on one of your characters. Zoro doesn't really play Fossa, the 2-cost blocker, too much, so forget about that one. But there's Flamenco, which is
Flamenco,
the
that's the
one
one. Yeah.
that's the one that negs. Then of course for the old set 2 All Star, you've got Vista, but unless you're anticipating a lot of Zoro, like, I mean, this is a bit hypocritical of me. I play 3 or 4 Vista in my Zoro list at the moment, just to deal with a lot of kind of Zoro mirrors up in my meta at the moment. I just find it such a good card. But yeah, Flamenco coming in to really kind of make value off those Marcos here. But we've got a quick start here from Khoi. Being able to curve Izo into Zoro is incredible. We've got a Rush Zoro that wasn't able to die, and now we've got the Marco KOing the 2 cost. So we've got an established board here from Khoi. Let's see how Paul responds here. Still taking no damage.
Yeah.
And
And
not
looks
a
like no
not a
cards have been discarded. Yeah, so I don't think he actually attacked with that Rush Zoro the turn that it got played.
yeah.
I think he's just doing his best to establish his field, keep it on active, and then get into a position where he can push that life down to 1 or 2 in the one turn.
Yeah. And look, he's kept the Rush Zoro back. So let's talk about, what are your thoughts, Ryan? Not attacking with the Rush Zoro there.
Yeah, again, I think it's a good strategy. You know, we know that if he does decide to turn that card sideways, it's a 7k leader swing going directly into it. So it's just really difficult to defend. Koi's happy to take the damage here early, set up a really comfortable board, and then, yeah, if he's able to push that life down to the 1 or 2 in one turn, Paul has to respond to that field in his following turn or he risks losing again. And we see
100%.
more of a really kind of slowish turn from Paul there, setting up the blocker and the Sanji. Both of those cards are going to be able to be picked off by a Marco if one does come down. And you really lose a lot of value off that blocker if it does just get picked off.
Exactly. Like a Vista, we know he had either the Fire Idol or the Fire Fist.
Yeah, I think he
And
just
look,
found a Fire Fist there.
and that's just going to spell absolute trouble. You can rest
Mm,
3, KO the Sanji as well as the Brule, and he's almost at a point now where he can just straight up ignore that Pero Sparrow and just start trying to peck his life down. The issue is, and this is
yeah,
like I guess a big talking point for me with Khoi, not swinging that Zoro. I can see the benefits of it, but if Paul just sets up with a 4 cost and another Pero Sparrow, I feel the game may start to get out of his hand. Now, luckily for Khoi, Paul had a very, I would almost call it a turn off. You know, Don onto the leader.
mm,
Or, you know, even a double Pero Sparrow, even a Pero Sparrow Sanji, sorry. He was only at 6 Don, so not 7, couldn't play that. We see the blocker used immediately, which I absolutely love here. You don't want to leave it open for a Vista target or a Fire Fist here. Taking the first life, and now we're going 7 into lead, so the damage starting to flow now for Khoi, and there's the triggers we're talking about. So let's see how Khoi responds with this, if he decides to go for the Pero here, or perhaps maybe a Fire Fist.
yeah. I think that Koi is just going to continue to push into life.
Hmm.
We see Paul's hand is down to it looks like maybe only 3 cards, which is very small for Katakuri, and he's got a decent board. You know, it's nothing to write home about, but it'll be interesting to see whether Paul adapts that same strategy as game one and tries to target this 5 cost Marco.
I
You know,
think he'd have
we've
learned
got
to.
Koi with a decent sized hand. We hope we don't see the same thing again.
I agree. I think we're going to see a bit of a different shift from in here. I think he has to target some of these other cards. Try
Mm.
and just whittle it down. I think the Marco you just kind of have to accept. And there's
Yeah,
the
there's the
Fire
five
Fist.
fist.
Sanji and Cracker gone. He won't get the card off the Pero. Sure, it's another card that can attack, but he's not getting that kind of immediate value. And I think is that a Jambe I think he discarded?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like
We see a
Paul
lot of
just.
these lists run as like a one of.
Yeah, exactly. Just to really help, particularly in the Whitebeard matchup, if they try and hide behind a couple of blockers.
Mm. Yeah. A
But
really powerful turn from
shipping of the
Koi
turn
there.
there,
Again, sitting in a good, yeah, sitting in a good position.
definitely. Now let's see how Paul responds to this. He's sending 5k in, but where's he sending that 5k? That leads him to believe we could be seeing
He's
a
into the Rush Zoro.
Katakuri secret. Yeah, he opts to save it.
Yeah.
What's he say? I think he's at 9 Don. I could be mistaken. 8 Don. Sorry, 8 Don because
It should
he
be at 8. Yeah, 8
8.
done.
Yeah. So
He opted to
no
go
Don on the
second.
leader there means we're either going to see 2 4 costs or we're going to see the 8 cost secret taking care of the
Yeah,
Marco
and
to the
he
bottom of the life. Does he put it top or bottom? That kind of signals his hand as well. So if he's planning on going into the 10 cost, okay, so I think we could be seeing a Lin Lin, a 10 cost Lin Lin next turn and hope that that's just going to be enough. Now, Paul, like this is what I think he needed that first game, and he just wasn't able to see it. Had to do some unoptimal attacks to try and take care of that Marco because he didn't have that Katakuri. But let's see if this is enough for Paul to stabilize.
Yeah, Paul's got 3 life still, which is he's still in a comfortable position, but his hand is extremely low here, so he is going to have to take some of these hits now early on from these low cost characters. And again, you get in a position where if you get down to 0 life, a Charlotte Linland doesn't feel the greatest
Exactly.
if Koi is able to use the rest of this turn and establish some more searches. It looks like it's just going to be another Rush Zoro. He's going to swing for 7 again, try and get him down to 0 life.
And see, this is now the problem I've got with with Katakuri. Yes, you've got a board here. Yes, you can easily clear all those characters he's just played, but this Zoro is in such a favorable position. We'll see if he slams down a
Hmm.
Brule, but with only 3 cards in hand, it looks like this is going to be the end for Paul, even if he does clear all those characters, Ryan. Like, giving that Marco as extra life has just kind of taken the game out of his hands. He needed to do it. Let me just start with that. He needed to do it, but the fact he wasn't able to control the kind of rest of the board after that, I think, is going to come back to hurt him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult. And yeah, we see him just try and clear the board a bit more. It looks like he's only got about 3 or potentially 4 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Perisper is going to be able to clear up these characters pretty easily. And do you think he drops? Okay, he's definitely not dropping the 10 cost Linlin.
No, so he needs to deal a damage here because he's not going to win by sitting back. They're having a read.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Okay,
they're just
he's had to put
deciding
it face
where.
down. So I think because the leader doesn't
Oh, okay, yeah,
specify, like
yeah.
the moment you move it to the top or bottom, it goes face down. And here, like I cannot see a reason with that many cards in hand for Khoi not to just go 15k under, like a 15k swing here. What do we got here?
Yeah, he passed with 9 Don active.
Yeah, there we go. And
And
there's
looks like
the
he's just called it.
GG.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 3 cards in hand, I
Yeah.
believe. He was just hoping to bluff the sovereignty, which he doesn't run. He does run the bullet, which will need 3k, but the chances of him having that are pretty slim. And he just went 15. I think I can beat you. Uh, he still obviously has to get 4 attacks. He had 4 attackers exactly, and Khoi was able to take the 2-0 victory there in pretty quick and convincing fashion. Thoughts, Ryan?
Hmm. Yeah, he stuck to the game plan. He established that board, kept it inactive so it wasn't able to get picked off, and pretty much won the game over 2 kind of convincing turns. That the first turn where he went in with everything, put him down to as low a life as possible, and then the following turn he was just pretty much cleaning up.
Exactly. And look, well done to Paul. He's had a really, really good run. 9th seed going into the finals is obviously incredible, particularly in what I feel is a very big red meta at the moment. To bring Katakuri shows real confidence in his ability. And I hope he doesn't think too much back to that turn dealing with the Marco. And, lamenting if the buggies were the better choice. I think either way there, he was still in trouble. I think the Zoro just would have eventually kind of outvalued him. But that's kind of where we stand.
Hmm.
And now I don't think we've got another game coming up. I think we're going to wait for the top 8 to proceed.
Yeah, so we will take a short break here while the rest of the tables finish up their games within the top 16. But we'll be back with the next round for top 8 in no time.
Thank you.